Despite the reactions to today's jobs report, the numbers of jobs created were overwhelmingly temporary. Joining me now is Matt Schlapp, chair of the American Conservative Union, Kurt Schlichter, senior columnist at Town Hall, a trial lawyer, busy man, and author of the book Crisis, and Kira Davis, host of the Just Listen to Yourself podcast. Welcome aboard, everybody. Matt, let me start with you. We are 8 months into the presidency. Clearly, there's no sign that Biden has any intention of stopping the policies that they've implemented. Isn't it time that we agree that this is exactly what they want to have happen? They know what the policies are doing, and they seem to want it this way.
Yeah, so, what's weird in this White House is usually you have a rambunctious staff and you have a president who views himself as everyone's president. And because this president is in the state that he is in, the staff that he has put around him, which are these, killers from the Obama administration who are hard chargers for socialism, they have it full throttle. And Tammy, socialism isn't just terrible economics that hurts people. This inflation is going to hurt the forgotten men and women and those people who are struggling in the economy, and really all of us in the economy. But look at all the racial divisions and the constant cries of racism. Even the D.C. mayor, Muriel Bowser, is basically begging the city council in D.C. to restore 200 cops from her failed Black Lives Matter, defunding the cops embrace of last summer. Even she knows she needs to get cops back on the street because people of color are the victims.
Yeah, I mean,
they won't do it. By unanimous vote, they said no.
They said no. I mean, this is what is astounding here. And Kurt, this is an interesting dynamic. When you look at the inflation rate, that is effectively a tax on all Americans. We know oil is, and the cost of gas adds into the price of everything that has to travel to get to people. When they said we were going to return to normal, it seems like this is exactly what they intended.
Well, Tammy, I think you're missing the big picture here. And the big picture is the lack of mean tweets. A bunch of suburban liberal wine women who read Ibram Kendi and swill Trader Joe's Chardonnay are not offended anymore by the guy in the White House's manners. So I think we've got that going for us. And I know when I filled up my fine German touring sedan for $75 the other day, I thought, yeah, that's kind of steep. I mean, I don't have Hunter Biden money, right? But, we've got a president who behaves himself when he's not staggering around, mumbling incoherently. The fact is, this administration is out of control. It's being run by a bunch of faculty lounge socialists, and they are tearing our country down. This is unsustainable. Yeah. Unacceptable, and it will not continue. I'm just not sure how this ends.
And it's not, and Kira, thank you, Kurt. It's not just that it's a socialist policy framework. Earlier this week, Biden caved to the squad, illegally extended the eviction moratorium, despite what the Supreme Court said. Doing this has the potential, I think we could agree, of putting thousands of middle-class mom-and-pop landlords out of business. Many people are arguing that this is, in fact, an attack on private property rights as well as the middle class. And I want you to listen to this, Kira, but Biden should know better, because when you bow to the squad, obviously it's never enough. Listen to this.
We're really grateful for this extension. But again, this is a short-term fix. We obviously need a long-term solution. What I'm hoping for is that before this 60-day ends, that there is progress that's made in that regard, and Congress reconvenes so that we can actually do legislation to provide long-term solution.
Kara, what's strange here is the people in these apartments who have not been paying rent were solvent enough to be able to get an apartment and pay rent. So I'm not quite sure why she wants this to be permanent. It's almost presuming that Americans can't get up in the morning and can't go get a job.
Because she's a communist. That's it. I mean, what the problem, Tammy, is that we have communists at the doorstep. We have communists in our government. And I'm not saying that as some kind of like red hat, MAGA, super conspiratorial news commentator. I'm saying that as a person with eyes and ears. You know, Black Lives Matter, you go to their website and it's very clear where their loyalties lie. They're Marxist. They're proud of it. They don't hide it, although they have taken some things off their site. So Cori Bush and AOC and the squad, they're Marxist too. So of course they want to eliminate private property rights. Of course they don't think that the middle class is helpful to prosperity because they're Marxists, which also means they're complete idiots. So I'm not like completely shocked to hear that. And I think that at the end of the day, the American people are going to have their say and their way. And Americans don't like this. There is this sense that no one is really in charge here. And that's why after Biden acquiesced to their demands, they can still go out there and insult the man. Because
amazing.
Because it's the socialists that are behind all of this.
Yeah.
You know, let's not pretend that Biden's really in charge here.
Yeah, you know, Matt, as we get back to the nature of who's making the decisions, and Kira alluded to this, is that nobody wants what they're selling. Nobody wants any of this that's happening, and yet they're barreling through, and clearly because no one is making any noise or pushing back. But I want to get to something that also is deeply personal and invasive. Let's talk about the vaccines when we talk about what happened this week. The Washington Post is reporting that the Biden administration is considering using federal regulatory powers and the threat of withholding federal funds from institutions to push more Americans to get vaccinated. And of course, now that effort could apply to institutions as varied as the long-term care facilities, cruise ships, and universities, potentially impacting millions of Americans. Again, we'll get to Kurt in a second, but Matt, it's interesting in that we've got effectively a mandate of vaccine, but without actually mandating it. What's your take on that?
When, according to the recent survey, 75% of the people getting the new variant are vaccinated. So there's complications to this that we're still learning about from a medical standpoint. But I applaud, like the bishops of the state of Colorado and these others who are saying that a universal mandate that forces all of us to do something violates our First Amendment rights. You know, there are people that have a moral objection to taking this vaccine in America, in the First Amendment, that is enshrined in our Constitution. No president can force somebody to break their religious views, and this is getting to a very, very dangerous position. And I urge the leaders out there, leaders of colleges, leaders of churches, leaders of people who believe in the Constitution, this is the time to stand up. I'm not anti-vax, but I'm going to stand up and defend this Constitution until there's my last breath in my body.
Well, I think a lot of people clearly feel that way. There seems to be, you know, we keep this conversation going. We all have opinions. Kurt, what's your take on this in particular?
Well, Tammy, I think this is a disaster. Imagine, if you will, from the beginning, if our government hadn't screwed everything up, lied to us, and then told us we were denying science when we pointed out that they were saying the exact opposite thing last week. They have totally destroyed their credibility. But I'm beginning to think that these mandates are a feature rather than a bug. Instead of something they have to do, I think it's something they want to do because, like showing that private property rights don't exist anymore, showing that they can force us to take a vaccine, to do something that intimate, to put something in our body against our will if you choose not to do it. It's like training. It's normalizing it.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why it's important to resist. Use the law, use everything you can to not accept their commands. Do what is right for you and no one else.
Yes, exactly. But that has to be considered, of course, because we know it's like a conflict. This is a serious dynamic. Individual Americans for hundreds of years have made decisions in very immediate, directly dangerous, scary situations, and we are trusted with the decisions we make for our own families. That's what makes this country different. Kira, we're going to start actually kind of a lightning round quickly. Twitter exploded today when Joe Biden made quite the fashion statement. Maybe Barack Obama's running more than we realized. But, of course, the big question of the day is who wore the tan suit better? We've got a picture up there right now. Obama or Biden? Kira, we'll start with you.
Obama. Biden just looks like someone's cranky old grandpa. Looks like he has caramels in his pocket.
Yeah, it's like maybe he didn't even know what color the suit was. Who knows how that got on there? Matt, Obama or Biden, who wore it better?
Well, I'm going to quickly tell you it's Reagan. Reagan brought the tan and the brown suit into fashion. I'm for Reagan.
I knew it. Kurt, what's your take there? Obviously, these two men are doing exactly what they want on their own. Yes.
Every time I look at Joe Biden and his fashion sense, I think he's about to sell me whole life.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. You three, all of you, thank you, Kira, Kurt, and Matt. Thank you all very much. It's been a very big week. It's wonderful to end it with you. Now.